A lot of people think money is just numbers. Making more money, less spending, saving money the right way. But that's not what money really is. Money gives you power. When you're right, it's quiet. It's power without yelling. It's the difference between needing and wanting. Most people will work their whole lives and never get it. They'll chase status, brag, and call it success. But someone else is pulling the strings behind the scenes, quietly, exactly, and without having to say anything. They don't have a lot of money because they show it off. They have a lot of money because they own the game. They don't have to follow the rules because they made the rules. And when things go wrong, they don't freak out. They just move. Most of us learn to serve money. We don't even know it. We give up time for pieces of paper and call it freedom. But you can only be truly free when you stop following their rules. This video doesn't show you how to get rich quickly. It's not about tricks and tips. It's about how power works and how money keeps most people in line. This is for you if you ever feel like you're working hard but not getting anywhere. Not to get you going, but to wake you up. People say that money changes people. That's not right. Money doesn't change who you are. It shows you who they really were before they got it. A calm man turns into a rude person. A kind woman turns into a selfish one. Or maybe they were always like that, and now that they have money, they can show it. That's why people mix up money and power. They believe that having more money gives them more power. But that's not how it works. Money doesn't give you power. It only shows where power is already there. Someone who is weak and has money gets louder. A strong person gets quieter. Real strength doesn't need to be noticed. It doesn't buy fancy cars or shout from the rooftops. It grows without making a sound. It sees. It waits. People who are really dangerous don't have to prove anything. They don't care if you see them or not. That's the first thing people don't believe. Money makes things bigger. It doesn't give you character. It shows it. Look at someone who just got some money. Most of the time, they start to act differently. They speak in different ways. They wear different clothes. But what about someone who has always had power? They don't blink because money is just a tool, like a hammer, like a blade. It grows in the right hands. It cuts when it's in the wrong hands. A lot of people go after money to feel important. They believe that having money will make people pay attention, that it will get rid of their worries. But it doesn't. It just makes those doubts louder. They are now insecure about money instead of not having it, and that makes them very dangerous. They are emotionally unstable and have guns. You will let the money decide for you if you don't know who you are before the money. That's why many wealthy people don't have power. They're just wealthy, and they know it deep down. That's why they yell. That's why they brag. They want someone else to believe it, so they can start to believe it too. But that's not how it works. People move before you speak when you have real power. Not because you yelled, not because you made a threat, but your presence changes the room. That's what most people want from money, but money can't give it to you. Discipline, strategy, and control are what make that happen. And if you don't have those things before you get the money, you'll lose them as soon as you touch it. So stop acting like money is the prize. No, it's not. It's the sign. It's what people see when the work is done. The work that matters is hidden. There is no noise. No one knows about it, but that's where real strength comes from. It's not what you have, but who you are without it. A lot of people want money to show something, but what if having real power means never having to prove anything? What if the person who talks the least is the strongest person in the room? Keep watching because the next part will show you why being seen is sometimes the worst thing you can do. Everyone wants to be seen in the world today, to be known, to be checked, but that visibility costs something. The more people know about you, the more they can hurt you. That's why people who are smart stay hidden, not because they are scared, but because they know the rules. As soon as people know how much money you have, they want it. Take a look around. People show off their watches, cars, and designer clothes to get respect. No, it doesn't. It gets them attention, which is not the same thing. Attention brings with it judgment, jealousy, and quiet thoughts. People start to judge you. They want to know what you have, how much you paid, how much they can handle. That isn't power. That's exposure. The ones who really do, you don't see them very often. They don't make a lot of noise. It's not clear how rich they are. Their plan is, they don't have to post it. They don't have to say it. You can just tell when they walk in. That's not by chance. That's how it looks. They know that money only keeps you safe when it doesn't talk. It betrays you when it talks too much. Machiavelli was aware of this. He never showed people his whole position. He made them believe he had less than he did. He wanted them to think less of him. That's the safest place to be, just out of sight. Not because you're trying to hide, but only because you're watching. It's easier to keep power when no one knows how much you really have. People play it safe when they don't know what to do. But as soon as they know, as soon as they see your numbers, your house, and your income, they start making their plan, not to honor you, but to put you to the test, to get the better of you, to get what they think you don't deserve. So don't show everything. Make them wonder. Let them believe you're just getting by when you're really building an empire, because the person who is underestimated is always safer than the one who is envied. Power doesn't need to show off. It grows, it puts things in place, it lets people talk while it listens, and when the time comes to act, it does so with great accuracy, not noise. Kings wore armor for a reason. It wasn't just to keep people safe, it was to cover up weakness. The ones who stayed knew that being open to attack. They didn't believe the applause, they believed in silence, and they acted in the right way. If you've been told to show off your success, think about that. Find out who benefits from you being seen. Ask yourself why you need to prove anything at all. The more you prove, the more you give away. The less power you have, the more you give away. Silence is good for power, and silence makes kings. A lot of people show everything and call it confidence. But what if the real confidence is not bragging when everyone else is? What if your quietness is louder than their yelling? Now you'll see that the real trap isn't being poor. It's relying on money you don't have. Everyone wants to make more money, but not many people ask, do I have control over what I make? That's where most people lose. They believe that having money gives them power, but you're not free if someone else decides when your income ends. You need help, and being dependent is just another way to control someone. If you get your paycheck from one place, and that place can cut you off at any time, you're not building wealth, you're renting it. Someone else owns the system you live in. They don't have to argue with you if you step out of line. They just stop the money, and see how quickly your courage goes away. That's what most people don't get. Not just to make money, it's to make something that no one can take. Not a job, not a part, not a reputation that depends on how other people do things, but money that you can control, that works while you sleep, that gets bigger when you don't say anything. Machiavelli was more afraid of being dependent than being poor, because a man who has nothing can still make a choice, but a man who needs someone else for everything, he has no other choice. He'll keep his mouth shut. He'll do what he's told. To stay alive, he'll have to shrink. That's not strength, that's how to stay alive. So, think about this. If one person said no, could your life fall apart? Could one phone call ruin everything you've worked for? You don't own your freedom if the answer is yes. You are only borrowing it. This is why the smart people build layers, many streams, things that no one can find, flows that don't need trends, applause, or anyone's permission. They make money that lasts even when it's quiet. Wealth lives in systems, not in attention. And when you have that, everything is different. You don't have to worry about saying no. You can leave without a backup plan. You can let people think less of you because they don't have to feed you. That's real freedom. Not loud, not flashy, but solid. Machiavelli wanted more than just money. He wanted power. He wanted to live in the world without being owned by it. And the best way to do that is to not let anyone else handle the money that feeds you. Because the person who gives you food can also take it away. Make your own table, even if it's little, no matter how long it takes. Because someone will try to control you someday. And the only thing that will keep you safe is what you made when no one was looking. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If someone else controls the faucet, they control your life. Now I'll show you how money, when used correctly, not only keeps you safe, but also makes you the center of attention for others. But first, here's a quick tip you shouldn't miss. If you really want power, you should watch 9 Things You Should Never Do in Public. Machiavelli warned. It explains small things you might do that could hurt your influence without you knowing it. It's not about pretending, it's about being aware. Every action you take in public sends a message. The video shows you how to send the right one. You'll learn how to keep people guessing, how to protect your reputation, and how to stop giving people things they can use against you. After this, you'll start to see power in ways that most people never will. People don't just move money, it shows them. People will say they are loyal, that they have faith in you, that they would never let you down. But if you add money to the picture, the truth will come out very quickly. Do them a favor. Give them more money. Give them a taste of status. Out of nowhere, everything changes. Some people are thankful. Some people feel entitled. Some people become quiet. Some people get loud. That's why money is the best way to find out what kind of person someone is. Not because it changes people, but because it takes off the mask. Machiavelli knew this better than most people. He never believed what people said. He believed in reactions. He paid attention to how people acted when money came into the room. Did they work together or against each other? Did they have a party or make comparisons? That's where the truth is. Not in what people say, but in what they do when they have a chance. People like you when you're poor because they don't feel threatened. But when you start to get better, they stop supporting you. Their support turns into criticism. It's not always hate. Sometimes it's a lack of confidence. They can't stand seeing someone else move while they stay still. If you're not ready for that change, it will throw you off. You'll start to question yourself. You will get smaller to make other people feel better. That's why Machiavelli never told anyone about his money. Not to hide it, but to keep the truth safe. He gave people little tests, not to give them blessings, but to learn about them. He would give them help, chances, and a little access. And then look, he kept the door open as long as they stayed humble. The door closed if they got greedy. Money was never the issue. It was about how people reacted. That's what wealth is really for. Not to show off, but to filter. To tell the difference between the stable and the opportunist, the faithful from the selfish. And once you learn how to do that, you won't feel bad about pulling away. You stop trying to make sense of your choices because you know who is real and who only shows up when they need something. Money is like a mirror, but it's also a magnet. It draws in things that people really care about. Some people want to connect. Some people want power. Some people only want access. And once you know what pulls them, you can choose who gets close. Don't tell everyone about your wins. Don't talk about how you did it. Just look. Let your silence speak for you. Let your growth show what it is. Because the people who matter won't be scared. They'll feel inspired. The rest were never meant for you. Machiavelli didn't need people to clap. He needed to be aware. And he used money not to control but to show. You don't have to fight. Just give people some cash and watch what happens. The real ones won't change, but the opportunists will show up quickly. Next, we'll talk about why some people worship money and why the people who have power never chase it. They only control who can get in. Most people spend their whole lives trying to get money. They believe that having more of it will earn them respect. Not dangerous, impossible to touch, but the truth is that chasing money makes them weak. The person who needs money will always be in charge of the person who controls access to it. Machiavelli never cared about money. He learned what it could do. He saw how people bowed to the person who paid them. He noticed that people acted differently when someone else had the money. That's the game most people don't see. The strong don't chase. They make systems that other people need. There are two types of people in this world. The first type does work for money. They fight to get more money. They worry a lot about bonuses. They think that making money is the most important thing. What about the second kind? They know that money is just a tool. They make the tools that other people need. They don't do the work. They design jobs. They pay for projects, not ask for jobs. And the difference isn't in how much they make. It's how much they can control the flow. That's where you really have power. It's not how much you make that matters, but how many people need you to keep making it. You've already won if other people depend on your choices to stay alive. You don't have to talk if you can give them what they need. They act differently when you're around. Machiavelli really understood this. He didn't say anything. He gave out. He didn't plead. He put himself in the position of the source. People don't just follow when you're the source. They do math. They keep track of everything you say. Not because they're scared, but because they need you. That's a different kind of strength. Shut up for a long time. Not said. Stop thinking like a worker if you want to be free. Think like a builder. Ask yourself, what can I make that other people need? What skill can I learn that will give me an advantage? What system can I have that I don't need permission to use? You don't need a lot of money to have power. You just need to make something that people can't easily get rid of. A company, a procedure, an item. People come to you for a skill that is so rare. Everything changes after that. You don't have to chase after chances anymore. You are the chance. And here's the truth. The harder it is to get to you, the more valuable you seem. That's why the strongest people don't yell. They don't have to. Their worth is shown by their silence. Machiavelli didn't give for praise. He gave for building. He saw how people acted when they got favors, who got too full of themselves, who stayed thankful, who asked for more. He didn't punish greed. He just stopped giving. That was all it took. You don't have to control people. All you have to do is make something they can't ignore. Then take a step back. Let them go around. That's power. Not because you made it happen, but only because you made it. People will do anything to get money if they think it's the prize. That's the trick. You let other people chase after the check, the title, and the shiny prize. In the meantime, you look around the room. You don't run. You make. You don't do anything. You make the design. The smartest people don't win by playing harder. They win by changing the game itself. Machiavelli never told anyone what he wanted. He showed them what they could get. He stayed focused on control while they were focused on the prize. Because money can be a good distraction. It keeps people busy. It gives them a goal to reach. But they aren't thinking while they run. They aren't asking questions. They aren't making anything for themselves. That's how you keep your power, by not moving while others do. Let them fight for promotions. You stay focused on owning the system that gives them out. Let them fight for your attention. You keep your mind on becoming the person everyone needs. Not fame or likes, but being able to say yes or no and change someone's whole future is what real leverage is. Machiavelli was well aware of this. He made people think they were winning. He made them think they deserved it. People fight harder to keep something when they think they've earned it. They link it to who they are. And after that, you won't have to make them do what you want. To stay on your good side, they'll censor themselves. That's not manipulation. That's what architecture is. Every empire was built this way, not just with armies, but also with status, ceremonies, positions that seemed important, but were easy to handle. You don't give power. You make it look like you have power. A name, a desk, a place to park. Then you see what people do to keep it safe. Most will give in. They'll go too far. They'll go against their values, just to keep what they think makes them who they are. That's why Machiavelli didn't fight wars he didn't have to. He knew that the real battle was in the mind, and the easiest way to win that war is to make people feel bad about themselves by taking something away from them. Make them feel better, then make them afraid of losing it. Not too loud, not with threats, with quiet steps, a hold-up, a break, a change in energy. That's all you need. People get scared when they think no one cares, when they don't know what to do. That's when they show their true colors. So make things that are important, but don't try to be the hero. Be the source. Let other people say how they won. Let them have their moment in the sun. You are the only one who can turn on the light. You can move without being seen when they think money is the goal, because they are too busy to pay attention to what is really going on. Let them go after the trophy. You should focus on owning the table it is on, because the person in charge of the game never follows its rules. You'll learn in the last part why real power isn't loud, obvious, or emotional. It's made to last in silence, and you stay calm when others panic, because you made it that way. Power doesn't ask for things. It doesn't yell. It doesn't even move. It stays still because it doesn't mind losing. That's why it can't be broken. Most people are scared of losing money because they think it defines who they are. They believe that if the money goes, they will too. That's not being strong. That's weakness, pretending to be wealth. Machiavelli knew about this trap. He saw how people made whole lives out of a number, around a way of life, about a false sense of safety. And then, when that number went down, they lost their minds because they never had power. The cash did. But here's what makes someone really dangerous. They can leave from the deal, from the offer, from the comfort, and not blink. That's what freedom is. And everything changes once people know you're not afraid to walk. You are no longer replaceable. You are no longer in charge. You have to build without getting attached to it to get there. Get the money, use it, make it bigger, but don't let it define you. You won't break if it goes away that way. You start over, not with hope, not with luck, with order, with systems you made yourself, quietly, patiently, and on purpose. Machiavelli wasn't afraid of being poor. He was afraid of being dependent. Dependence means you can't say no. It means you have to give a reason. You have to do it. People have to like you. You don't need to be liked, though. If you've built something strong and deep, you only need to be respected. And the best way to get that respect is to not be attached. You don't worry about losing. You don't mind being quiet. You don't need to ask for permission. That makes you hard to predict. It gives you strength because no one can tell you what to do. Most people get rich and then spend their whole lives trying to keep it. They don't get enough sleep. They want to be validated. They figure out every risk. That's not being free. That is a prison with nicer walls. Machiavelli would sit in a room and not say anything. He would watch, he would listen, and when the time was right, he would move, not with feeling, with accuracy. He knew something that most people don't. Silence wins more wars than speeches. So make your money, but do it in a way that protects it, not in a way that shows it off. Don't show it. Keep it safe. Don't put your name on everything. Let your systems speak for themselves. You won't move when the world shakes, which it always does. You won't freak out when the money goes down. You won't get smaller when people leave. You won't ask for permission. You never made your identity out of things that can be taken away. That's how you get power. Not by what you gain, but by what you can lose and still be whole. That's when people stop putting you to the test. Not because they're afraid of your money, but because they don't know how to get into your head. Machiavelli didn't want money. He was in charge of it, and he stayed when it left. Most people are afraid of losing everything, but the strong don't fear anything because they built themselves up from the inside. You made it this far, so now listen to the last words, the most important ones. Not about making money, but about leaving. Stay calm, quiet, not bothered. You stop chasing when you learn how to handle money, and you begin to choose every time. You are not like most people if you watch this all the way through. Most people scroll, most people forget, most people go on without making any changes, but you stayed. That means something. It means you're ready to stop letting others control you, not just with money, but also with your mindset. You need to stop living paycheck to paycheck. It's your turn to make the next move. You don't have to be rich to have power. You just need to stop being so predictable. Build in silence. Be smart when you move. Don't say anything. While others chase the spotlight, you should build the switch that turns it on. And if this changed how you see things, let others know. Someone else might also need this.